Unlock Meghan's jealousy with Catherine, the fact that the baby brain event is key. Of course, we don't know the real circumstances surrounding Meghan's nasty comment to Harry that Catherine was experiencing baby brain. One thing we do know is that Meghan was, she still is, and she'll probably always be insanely jealous of Catherine. So is it any surprise then that Meghan would say whatever she could come up with to try to undermine the woman who was always going to be ahead of her in the British hierarchy? It doesn't matter what Catherine's brain was like, Meghan was going to say something ugly. Another thing that we know for sure is that Harry deeply loved his sister in law, and I'm sure that he would have continued to say wonderful things about her if Meghan could have only developed a nice relationship with her like his ex girlfriends had done. Now, Catherine is a smart cookie, and that has nothing to do really with being a great speaker. In fact, you know what they say a still tongue spells a wise head. I'm guessing Catherine had Meghan figured out within a few minutes of meeting her, and she decided, all right, the less said the better when she's around Meghan. This is just a guess, but maybe Meghan asked for Catherine's opinion on certain matters like feminism or political agendas or something like that. And of course, William would have been probably noncommittal. If I don't trust somebody, I am never going to share my opinions with them, especially about stuff like politics. I remember that Meghan was sharing her political and social opinions to the media from the very beginning, and I thought that it was clear that she had a political agenda. It was also very clear to me that Meghan was not the type of person who was going to be willing to play second fiddle to anybody, and I suspected that she was going to be a big problem with the hierarchy of the royal family, and apparently I was right. But what she still doesn't understand is that the old word feminist has been replaced by the new word egalitarian, meaning that we are all equal. Unfortunately, though, Meghan only views people beneath her as equal to each other, but lower than herself, of course. It must be pretty obvious to the Queen and then Prince Charles if I could have seen this from the very beginning. After having suffered the same situation with his first wife, who played on her glamour image to get attention and to draw attention away from the future king, basically setting up her own rival court, I'm thinking the late Queen and Charles would have had the foresight to sit Meghan and Harry down privately and lay down some rules. And usually, people don't appreciate when other people just force their way into private meetings. Charles tried to warn Meghan and Harry not to enter the room. You can see Meghan's defiant expression on her face, and you can also see a courtier trying to escort the two of them out of the room. Meghan, though, tries to force her way into an official group so that she can be photographed as part of the official party. Well, obviously, it didn't work. In some moments, you can even see how Meghan is facing away from the guide and she's looking to the official party instead of at Harry. She's carefully poised with her right foot directed towards the official gathering, about to swing her left foot around to face them, and also she was directing her back towards the group. And Harry's trying to caution her to listen to the courtier, but she's ignoring him. And obviously, she's ignoring all instructions while she wants to worm her way into the official party line. You see, Meghan knew that media in the US were going to air footage of the bicentenary of the Prince of Wales's inauguration, and she was so desperate to be viewed as an important figure in the event. Respecting people lower down in the order of the hierarchical triangle is so important to maintaining respect from within the hierarchy. But Meghan and Harry still went out there and publicly accused the palace of not offering enough protection for Meghan. Supposedly, Meghan Markle's got some kind of international relations or communications degree from Northwestern, so she should have been well aware of the importance, as a beginner, of building respect slowly, and she should have understood how dangerous it is to naively interpret early responses to mass hysteria demonstrated by curious crowds as a long-term example of how popular you really are. Now, Meghan's career as an actress was not impressive, so she would have been aware of how fickle the people really are, and that once the immediate welcoming of a new person becomes familiar, she was bound to just blend in with everybody else, and be seen out and about only while on duty, just like the rest of the royal family. Meghan also should have understood that it's only after continued loyal, dutiful service, going about her work with dignity and quietly, that she would become a much-loved royal superstar, like Princess Anne, for example, or Princess Catherine, or Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, and of course, Queen Camilla. And as Queen Elizabeth showed us all, it doesn't matter how many wrinkles the stress of your work adds to your face. So Meghan Markle, don't worry about the Botox. There was an episode on the balcony when Meghan walked up to stand right beside the late Queen. And Harry had to tell her she needed to stand in front of him to the side behind William and Catherine. She wasn't allowed to just stand wherever she wanted to. So she kept on arguing, and he told her she just needed to turn around. It's out there on video for everybody to see, and you can see a close-up look at Meghan's face as she was processing what Harry told her. I'm guessing the other family members overheard it too, and I can't help but wonder what they must have thought. I'm sure there was a lot of texting and some phone calls happening on that day. In spite of her alleged degree, Meghan Markle is not an intelligent woman. She claims she's this big feminist, but she's never really accomplished anything on her own without a man to help her. She goes on and on about woman empowerment, but at the same time, she clearly lacks self-confidence. Her jealousy tells us a lot about how insecure she really is. She is playing a role of what she believes are feminist ideals, but she falls short because she simply cannot pull it off. She really is pathetic. Her future as a human is not very bright. Meghan is well over 40 years old, and she doesn't have dignity. She's not classy. She has no empathy. She has no sophistication. Meghan is not fine wine, so she's not going to keep getting better with age. I'm skeptical of these claims that Meghan Markle graduated from Northwestern. I mean, if you look at her behavior around Catherine, it was incredibly offensive. And it can be explained because she was so incredibly jealous of Catherine and still is, especially because Harry probably did have a crush on his brother's wife, and because she's also an amazing woman, and she's much loved by the future king. Now, Americans are known for being a more casual group of people, but usually the first time that we greet guests in our homes, we wear something nice. We'll wear a nice top and jeans or nice pants. Nobody I know is going to greet a first-time visitor wearing some ripped-up jeans and being barefoot with a wife-beater top. I also cannot stand the way that Meghan ends up making all American women look bad, because when somebody calls her out on her behavior, she tries to act like it's just because she's American and they don't understand the cultural differences. For example, the way that she's always taking little digs at other women. That is not normal behavior. And then there was that fight about the lip gloss. Why was Meghan acting like that was a normal thing to ask Catherine anyway? I mean, I wouldn't share my lip gloss with somebody I barely know. Catherine should have told Meghan that she could just keep the lip gloss, and then Catherine could have gotten herself another one. Harry really must have some horrible self-esteem because he's always seemed so amazed that somebody like Meghan would accept him. And as one presenter said, instead of talking about all she had given up to marry him, he should have been letting her know that by marrying him, she was going to be moving into his world, so she needed to make a choice. Meghan Markle does not understand how to behave appropriately in sophisticated social settings. Just look at the way she would stick out her tongue and act so immature. I don't think any family could have ever done the right thing in Meghan's eyes. I'm guessing the family has probably suppressed a lot about her background and her behavior. Harry and Meghan were not invited to the private viewing either. I would assume that Charles, with some advice from his wife, would have decided it wasn't going to look good to haul Harry through an exhibit and talk about how proud he was that day and how proud William's going to be at his own investiture in front of Harry. And you, what do you think about this event? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments. If you preferred our video this evening, don't be afraid to like and share it with your friends and relatives who would enjoy it anytime you want. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.